Hey YouTube, this is Matthew Morgan again, coming back to you with another video. And this one has to do with hellfire preachers. Where did they come from and why do they exist? And what do I mean when I say hellfire preachers? Let me explain it to you this way. Back in the days of old, before, the 20th century, before technology was booming, you had a thing called hellfire preachers, which meant people who didn't want to be pastors, but they grew up in sacrilegious or sacredly religious or scared religious houses. What do I mean by that? Basically, people who grow up knowing the fear of God. People who knew that if they did not do what God asked them, they'd go to hell and God would punish them for it and God would be angry at them eternally for it. Like people who would get the Bible thrown at them, be told they're going to hell every time they didn't do something they were asked or something they were told. If they questioned the Bible or their own Christianity, they were going to hell. That's pretty much what it is. But here's what a hellfire preacher is. A hellfire preacher is a guy, because back in the day, women couldn't be seen as preachers, so that was a man's position. But anyway, just know that's not my opinion. That was back in the day of ignorance. Meaning before people actually started somewhat understanding things and knowing better. Oh yeah, and just so you know, actually I don't even need to mention that in this video because I already put it in another one. Anyway, so young guys growing up in a house full of sacrilegious people told the only man in the house or the boy that you're gonna be a pastor. I feel God calling me to tell you that you're gonna be a pastor. They're like, what if I don't want to? Don't question God. You know better than to do that. Don't be questioning God. If God says that's what you're gonna do, that's what you're gonna do. And if you don't want to, you will go to hell. So throughout their life of fearing God and fearing hell, and they're taught that hell is where a sinner that doesn't get saved goes, and they suffer for eternity. Yeah. So the child grows up in the fear of God, then he starts becoming a pastor at like what, 5 maybe? His elders tell him he needs to be a pastor. He's getting called to be one. Then he goes to the pulpit after being so long lectured about hell. Stands up there. You're going to hell. We're all going to hell. God is always angry. If you don't do what God asks you, you're going to hell. That's literally how they sound. Then, it's that sound of, oh, they do all that, and all that stuff, and hyper situational, and God said, and I said, God said, pretty much all that. Then on this time, if you don't read your Bible, you're going to hell. If you don't tithe every Sunday, you're going to hell. You don't pray, you don't come to no church function, you're going to hell. All that kind of stuff. I'm gonna say it again. They will say if you don't go to church functions, you don't go to meetings, you don't read the Bible, you don't tithe, you don't pray right, you don't speak in tongues, you don't learn how to call down fire from heaven, you don't get the Holy Ghost, all that stuff, you're going to hell because God's not pleased with you. So that pastor will be up there telling people they're going to hell. He's not even sure if he's right about what he's saying, but since that's all he grew up around, that's all he'd ever been taught, and that's all he knows, That's what he's saying. And he's looking out to the pulpit to see if his parents are watching him, to make sure he ain't saying the wrong thing that's upsetting them. So, yeah. Then they're teaching that Jesus is coming back with anger. Whoever doesn't follow him, or whoever ain't saved when he comes back, they're pretty much going to hell. Like I said, this was back in the day. Even though a lot of back in the day stuff is kind of being brought to now, but you get my point. But yeah, he'd be sitting up there thinking God's watching him, and God's like, if you slip up one time, I'm punishing you forever and you're going to hell. So he's behind that pulpit with fear that God's going to catch him slipping and send him to hell. Hence the term hellfire preachers. Because all they do is talk about the hellfire that you're going to get sent to if you don't do what God tell you to do. Or someone says that God told them to tell you something, and you don't listen. You're pretty much disobeying and defying and disrespecting God, so you're going to hell. Just so you understand that. And then, yeah, the church will force you to do it, force you to go in the pulpit, and if you didn't, you'd become a disgrace to your family. They wouldn't want nothing to do with you. They will probably exile you and shun you so they don't look bad in front of the church, or air quotes, God. So just so y'all know that, I'm out.